So at first I'm like, how the hell is Psylocke getting her own solo book when she's on the X-Men roster? And then I'm like, Wolverine's been doing it for decades. Nobody ever asked any questions. My name is Dorian. This is SEO Comics. We are starting our coverage of Psylocke, number 1. Our story starts off at the factory in Alaska, where there's supposed to be a team meeting or debriefing, but it hasn't started yet because one member is late. As Kid Omega is saying that this should have started a half an hour ago and should have ended a half an hour ago. So finally Psylocke comes strolling in and she's like, I'm sorry, my flight from Palmdale was almost canceled due to the blizzard here. And Kid Omega's like, Palmdale? The hell you doing to Palmdale? So now we cut to a few hours earlier in Palmdale, and Psylocke is doing her thing. Now, can I just say the art on here is fantastic. Probably the best art I've seen with all these X books. Now you got these dudes, they're like, where the hell did she come from? And then one dude was like, it's like she's a ninja. And one dude's trying to like, really a ninja as he gets hit. And then the other dude's like, no, he's right. It's like a ninja. Now on the next page, we see that she is rescuing some teenage girl. When I just said rescuing, it sounded weird. Let's just say unkidnapped. She cuts the rope off the girl's hands and she's like, your father has hired me to rescue you. And the girl goes, you're a mutant. He hates mutants. And so I was like, when you're desperate, and don't get it twisted, your dad was desperate. You don't hire the rest, you hire the best. Mutant or not, that's me. But unfortunately, whoever kidnapped her, they got a lot of people. More goons are coming down the hallway. Girl's like, what we gonna do? And Psylocke's like, you're about to take a nap, as she hits her with the side and knocks her out. So one of the goons is like, did you just kill the girl like you just killed everybody else? And Psylocke's like, nobody's dead. Everybody's just knocked out and they're going to have memory loss. So unfortunately, you guys will not remember what I'm about to do to you. And she rips through these guys. They all got guns and it doesn't even matter. She drops off the girl at her dad's house and then she takes off. And now she's back in Alaska being chastised by Kid Omega. So the meeting's pretty much about 3K. I guess some new adult mutants have popped up in Columbus, Ohio, which me personally only live like an hour and a half away from Columbus, Ohio. Even though I'm closer to Cleveland than I am from Columbus. And I'm actually from Cleveland. A little bit too close to home, Marvel. A little bit too close to home. Anyway, they're all going to go do their thing as X-Men. Everybody's up for Psylocke. Psylocke is benched. She goes, I'm benched. Why am I benched? Why isn't Kid I Die All the Time benched? So Cyclops is like, as team leader, I need to make decisions for the betterment of the team. And that also means looking out for the individuals. So I'm making you take mandatory vacation. She was like, I don't need a vacation. He's like, okay, when's the last time you slept? Enough said. He was like, take 1 to 2 weeks and then we'll see where you're at from then. So at least now you know in this time frame, if this is going to be like, I believe it's a 4-part or 5-part book. Don't believe it's going on for 5. Then we know in the timeline of the X-Men, how long this is going to be. About 1 to 2 weeks. Now, Psylocke is pretty much like, if I'm going to be benched, then I'm going to go see my boo thing, which is John Greycrow. Now, we found out they have a relationship early in the series. I forgot which book it was, but luckily for you, I have a playlist in the description where you can find out exactly which book it was. But yeah, John Greycrow's her boo thing. He's a villain, so that's awkward. So she's finally doing what Cyclops suggested and trying to get some sleep. She's having a bad dream. John tries to wake her up and almost gets a sigh to the eye. And she's like, I could have killed you. He's like, nope, look, see, I'm fine. We're good. Now, for those of you guys who don't know Kwannon's history, me included, I did not know that she was raised by the hand. She says, as soon as she learned how to walk, she was trained how to be an assassin. So killing people is like breathing to her. Now, if you're not familiar with the hand, just think of them like Wu-Tang Clan. They ain't none to f with. So now it's the next morning, and Psylocke, still in Alaska, she's walking and her phone's ringing. She's been ignoring the hell out of it, because she can count on one hand how many people actually have her number. One of those people is named Donovan. She rescued Donovan, similar to the way that she rescued the girl from earlier. So for Donovan having to be mixed with all kinds of like dark web stuff, That's how he got her number. And he's the one that actually finds her the jobs and pays her when she does the jobs. So I guess he's a necessary evil. And he already found her next job. He asks her, hope you like warm weather, because this one is in Phoenix, Arizona. And I guess A.I.M, yes, Advanced Idea Mechanics, has a new mutant growth hormone that they're selling, and she needs to find out by infiltrating their little, gala that they're having. Now she goes to get in, and there's an A.I.M scientist at the door. It could be a soldier. Actually, I don't know the ratio between scientists and soldiers that A.I.M has, but I'm assuming that some of them are just soldiers, not all of them are scientists. Anyway, she's trying to get in, and she hands him a card that I guess that's her ID or special invitation to get in. She infused the card with, I guess, her psionic powers. And all of a sudden, he's like, oh, madam, right on in. And he opens up the rope. And when you look at the card, it says, buy 7, get 1 free on whatever. I want to say it's burritos. I think buy 7 burritos, get 1 free. I think she handed him like a Chipotle punch card. Let me know in the comments what you think it is. Now, the kid is really smart because I guess Psylocke can talk to him mentally, but not from that far distance. So he used his technology to amplify her telepathy so that they can talk like they were just like a few feet away from each other rather than like probably across the country. So the kid's asking her, what has she seen yet? And she's like, nothing really. As she's reading everybody's mind in there, and she's hearing everything from affairs to wannabe murders. So finally, we have some action, and the Scientist Supreme shows up. At least I think that's a Scientist Supreme. And if it is, then she's in 2 different books because she's also in Iron Man. So she's pretty much saying how the old mutant growth hormone activated fast, but wore off as fast as it activated. Wasn't a real long period of having powers. With their new strain, it's topical, so this applied to the skin, and it lasts a hell of a lot longer. Now, every guest there has some in their package. I guess it's like a little gift bag that they got. And they're auctioning off some kids to be tested on. And not only that, the Reavers are their security. So yes, we have a Donald Pierce sighting. So all of a sudden, Psylocke has a flashback to her childhood, because I guess she was human trafficked, because that's pretty much what A.I.M is doing, human trafficking. But it's A.I.M. This is what they do. And Psylocke just starts running towards the kids. It looks like she's about to do something, and the kid's in her head like, don't do it, we ain't prepared. And all of a sudden she grabs a auction thing, and she says, I'll buy all the kids. And the Science Supreme's like, okay, that'll be 2.5 million. And Psylocke's like, fine. And then hits her with her sai, which I guess is doing her a favor, because now the Scientist Supreme won't know how bad this day actually turned out. Well, until somebody tells her anyway. And then Skullbuster, that's the other Reaver that's there, and starts busting shots at Psylocke and the kids. And now Pierce is like, dude, they hired us for security, not for you to shoot at everybody that we're supposed to be protecting. But Psylocke does her ninja thing, pretty much gets behind Skullbuster and gives him a psionic headache. So while she's dealing with this dude, she can see everything that the kids went through, and it distracts her just enough so that Donald Pierce can snatch her up by her neck. But unfortunately, Donald Pierce has a dumbass working with him, and Skullbuster decides to grab all the mutant growth hormone and take them all at once. And it works out just exactly how you would think it would work out. It doesn't. But it distracts Donald Pierce enough so that Psylocke reaches into her back, grabs her sword, and pretty much takes out Donald Pierce. Well, knocks him down anyway. Old boy's looking like a mutant T-Rex now. And Donald Pierce gets back up. Psylocke puts it on him. Put it on him. And then she decides to deal with dumbass, which she does by slashing the hell out of him. Like, this is no psionic stuff no more. No. She's using that katana. And she pretty much cuts this dude down right in front of the children. And she's like, I should feel bad. I should feel something. Right now, I don't feel anything at all. As old boy transforms back to his normal form, and he is dead. Dead. My name is Dorian. This is SCM Comics. We're continuing our coverage of Psylocke. Number 2. Our story starts off with the last one left off. We're in Phoenix, Arizona, and Psylocke just got finished slicing and dicing one of the Reavers, and she's got that faraway look in her eyes. So then we do a flashback to when she was a child. She did the same thing. She had that faraway look in her eyes that just got finished killing some ninjas, and one of her friends kind of comes up and brings her back, and she's like, I get scared because when you get that look in your eyes, I don't know if I can ever bring you back. Well, in this instance, the kids that she just rescued brings her back. The place is on fire. They're scared. Psylocke's like, I need you to duck because the curtains are on fire. She does a slash, she cuts the curtains, and then she tells the kids to follow her, which they do. All the way to Alaska. She goes right to the factory. She meets up with Beast, and she's like, I need you to watch these kids. He's like, I thought you were supposed to be on vacation, relaxing. She was like, I was, and then this happened. I would have dropped him off with Grey Crow, but he's not answering his phone, so I need you to cover down for me. Because I know there's more kids out there that I need to go rescue. So then we cut to Manhattan, New York, where Psylocke is on top of a roof and she's talking to her little hacker friend, and he's pissed at her because when she saw the kids, she pretty much cut all communications and then went to go do what she needed to do, and he was left in the dark, and he don't like that because he had no way of helping her. He's like, you're the mutant superhero. Me, I'm just an ordinary human college kid. So Psylocke's like, who's blacklisted from several countries' government's databases. Very ordinary. And he's like, look, if they don't want their databases to be messed with, they should make better firewalls. Now, his contact that he's leading Psylocke to happens to be Shinobi Shaw. And if you don't know, yes, this is Sebastian Shaw's son. So her hacker friend tries to give her the lowdown. She's like, I know who this is. I got it from here. And she just jumps down right into the penthouse and scared the bejesus out of most of the people there. So Shinobi's like, I was wondering when he's going to get here. Is it Kwannon or is it still Betsy? And she puts a sonic blade to his head. It's like, why don't you let me know? So then she's like, you're the guy that's been feeding my friend all the information about the kids. And he's like, yes, it was me. And she's like, why don't you just go take care of it yourself? He's like, I got a reputation to keep. Besides, you're my favorite killer X-Men. You can handle any problem. So then she goes, well, you're my best lead to get into wherever these kids are being held at. So this time, you're coming with me on this rescue mission. So Shinobi's like, I hate my father, but his name carries weight. Family name carries weight. This restaurant has a 6-month waiting list. I called last night and got a table for us. So then they go into the bathroom. There's a secret switch. All of a sudden the wall opens up and it leads to an underground fighting ring where they are fighting mutant kids to the death. So because of the Shaw name, they're also able to get in there. She acts like she needs to go to the bathroom. She sneaks off to find the kids. She's walking. She comes across this armed guard. He's like, are you lost, man? She's like, not really. I'm right where I need to be. She hits him with a sonic sigh and then starts mind controlling him. Pretty much makes him open up the door as she sees these kids in cages. Once she sees this, she's done being nice and she knocks the dude out very violently. And then she starts to talk to the kids. Well, come to find out, half of them aren't even mutants. They're normal humans that got hit with the mutant growth hormone. But as soon as she finds out, she gets zapped. And next thing you know, she's knocked out. So when she wakes up, she's in a cage. And who's ever running this place says that it is her against all of the kids. Place your bets. So the kids are apologizing to her and it's like, we have to, otherwise they're going to kill us. And Psylocke's like, don't worry, I'm not going to hurt you. And then she gets shocked because I guess she has a shock collar on. And the dude is like, no, you are going to fight. So then she's like, a little bit of electricity, that's nothing. And then she just proceeds to knock out all the kids with her sonic sigh, just putting them to sleep gently. So then the dude is about to shock her again. While all of a sudden Shinobi Shaw comes out of nowhere, grabs his hand, and brutally destroys that remote with his hand. So then all the shock collars fall off. So Psylocke's like, all right, you kids go hide. Some of them's like, no, we want to fight. Or I was like, all right, some of you guys take whoever didn't wake up yet to safety. The rest of you guys come with me. So now if you don't know what Shinobi Shaw's power is, it's density. He can make himself as dense or as very undense as possible, if that's even a word. So this dude like passes right through him, and then all of a sudden he makes himself dense, and then arm, head, like this dude is brutally killed. And then Psylocke and the other mutant kids take out everybody else, so now they're free to go. So now we cut to Soho, where Shinobi was supposed to meet Psylocke for like a dinner at this very special restaurant, when all of a sudden he gets a note from the waiter saying that she can't make it, but she left him a note, and the note is an invoice for what she just got finished doing. And to his credit, he says he's going to put the money in her account tomorrow, even after being stood up. So then we go back to the factory where Psylocke's going back to her room to finally try to get some rest, when all of a sudden she sees an arm that is on her door. It's a left arm, and it looks like it belongs to John Greycrow, who's already missing a right arm, so feels like this dude is going to be walking around looking like Jax from Mortal Kombat. My name is Dorian, this is SCM Comics. We continue our covers of Psylocke with number 3. Our story starts off with the last one left off, with Psylocke going back to the factory, and when she gets to her room, she's met with the severed arm of her boo thing, John Greycrow. And also there's these crazy butterflies that are flying around it. But right behind her, something's coming. Now, she gets right to it as these animals that have like these robotic parts are attacking her, and she's just taking them out. I mean, it's light work to her. While she's doing that, she wakes up Devin. She wants him to do like an analysis of these things. So once she takes all these animals out, she hops on her snowmobile and she hauls ass to John Greycrow's cabin to see if he's still alive. Obviously, he's not there, but there are signs of a struggle. She uses her training when she was with the hand to kind of like look at the situation and to kind of map out what happened and what the end scenario was. Was he still alive? Was he captured? Did he get away? And she comes to the conclusion that he actually got away. So since he got away, there's only one place that he would go that him and her know about. So she hauls ass deep into the woods. She comes to his cave and she finds him. So we see that his arm is already growing back, like it's almost down to the elbow. So it's not as fast as like Wolverine or like Sabretooth, Deadpool or anything like that, but he does have a healing factor. He even tells her like, that's why I wasn't worried about if you had a bad dream, you stab me because I can heal from it. And I'm thinking to myself like, now I don't know a whole lot about John Greycrow, and this is probably always like baked into his character. So I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, they just put it in there just right now. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that it seems like now everybody has a healing factor. It's pretty crazy. Let me know in the comments how you guys feel. So they embrace, and as she's hugging him, she's like, how many are behind me? And he goes, nothing we can't handle. So she gets right to it, and he gets right to it. And she's like, that's not a number. And he goes, I know. So as they're fighting these animals, one of them grabs Psylocke's foot, and John Greycrow's like, Kwannon. She's like, I'm fine. Worry about yourself. One of them just grabs your weapon. So he's like, if they want my weapon, they can have it. And he starts shooting the bejesus out of one of them. So then she busts out these kunai, and what she does is she like puts her psychic energy into them, and now she can throw them, and they go wherever she wants them to go with her mind. And I thought that was pretty cool. They take out all the killer robot animals, and then they leave the cave. They go back to the factory, and they're meeting with Beast. Beast gives John a like prosthetic arm for his left arm until I guess the rest of it grows back. And then Psylocke's like giving Beast the business. Like, I thought this place was safe, and all of a sudden we got all these enemies here. And like the only reason why I even joined the team is because this is supposed to be a really safe place. And, you know, you need to boost security, Beast. I'm thinking to myself, like, how's this Beast's problem? Like, why don't you talk to the Cyclops about this? But different story for a different day, I guess. Anyway, she starts talking to Devin about the butterflies that were around the severed arm of John Greycrow. And he's like, these butterflies are like, well, I'm gonna say like a new species. Like, they're weird as hell. And also, too, like, none of them are like the same. Some have 5 wings, some have 6 wings, some have this, some have that. Like, they all got like different mutations. And like, it's weird. I've never seen them before. But Psylocke's like, I have. And then we cut to New York, where she sees Shinobi Shaw again. And she's sitting right next to like an encasing of these butterflies. And Shinobi's like, you know, you could just call me. You don't have to break into my house every time. So then Shinobi goes, aren't you worried about John finding out about this little midnight visit? All of a sudden, there's a knife to his throat. And John's like, I think he already knows. So then Shinobi was like, really? You brought him? And then Psylocke's like, I thought you love surprises. So then Shinobi headbutts John and was like, why are you even with this guy? Like, isn't he mostly like robotic parts down there? Like, how does he satisfy you? And then John punches him in the face and goes, it's not my fault you lack imagination. So then Shinobi's like, you know what? Touche. So they're about to go at it again, and then Psylocke gets in between them. Like, that's enough. Shinobi, quit provoking John. John, quit letting Shinobi provoke you. So Psylocke hands Shinobi the note and the butterfly and was like, what does this mean? And Shinobi's like, Morpho Chimera. That's impossible. So he goes, I didn't write this note, but the person who did should be dead. But if he's not, then we got a lot more to worry about than a severed arm. So then he explains how he got the art piece with the butterflies from an old family friend. The Hennefers and the Shaws go way back as far as their history. Shinobi met Tai, and Tai just freaked him out. Now, he has some kind of rare disease that typically you don't make it to adulthood with. But this kid did a lot of like taxidermy on different animals. Like, he was obsessed with death, I guess because of his disease. And he's the one who manufactured, or I say biomanufactured, these butterflies. So the Shinobi Shaw's like, again, he should be dead because 99.9% of people that have the disease die at childhood. But if he is alive, he is very smart, very creepy, very dangerous, and has the means to do whatever he wants. So then Psylocke's like, all right, well, where do I find them? And Shinobi's like, I only got one spot. It's the mansion that I visited when we were kids. So then John's like, I'm going with you. And Psylocke's like, nope, I need you to go protect Devin. And John's like, but you're probably gonna need my help. He's like, no, this dude has the means to do whatever he wants. He found us really easy and we're hard to find. He could probably get to Devin. He could probably get to the kids at the factory. I need to go stop him before he hurts anybody else. So then we cut to upstate New York, where Psylocke is at the mansion. She sneaks in, she does her thing, but one of those creepy butterflies actually has more electronics in it, and I guess it has like a surveillance camera. And now Tai knows that she's here, and he's like, let's give her a warm welcome. My name is Dorian, this is SCM Comics. We continue our coverage of Psylocke with number 4. Our story starts off with the last one left off. She is right outside the Hanover estate, where she is noticing that all of the robots, or they look like robots, are not actually just robots. No, they are robots with real animal parts, and they are everywhere. Now, Devin's worried about Psylocke because if Shinobi Shaw thinks that this dude is deranged, then this dude is like next level deranged. Plus, his security system is like next level. He can't hack into it, or at least it will take him a very long time to do it, which is saying something. So to help him out, she uses her new kunais that she can control with her mind to take out one of their robot birds, that's still actually a bird. Hopefully by scanning it and sending it back to Devin, Devin can use that information to hopefully get into Ty's network. And it actually works. He's inside. And unfortunately, there is one place that's not heavily guarded. So Psylocke and Devin both say it's a trap. But Psylocke says, I got trained by the hand, and they taught me how to walk into traps, but not get caught by them. So she goes in, and she sees all these taxidermy animals. And she's like, this is not just a house. This is a museum. Also, these animals have one thing in common. They all have mutations. So, they're all mutants. And the majority of them are extinct. So as it goes in further, the connection that she has with Devin is cut. So now, she's on her own. And then right at that moment, the taxidermied robot animals are on the prowl looking for her. There's a lion, there's a bear, and there's a gorilla. Oh my. I know it's lions, tigers, and bears, but just kind of bear with me here. Now, she's doing a good job hiding from them, but then she decides that she's not going to hide anymore, and she uses her new kunai and takes them all out. So as she goes in further, she's seeing more mutated animals, this time in like an aquarium type of thing, which, how big is this house? And all of a sudden, she sees Betsy. But not Betsy Braddock as she is now. She sees Betsy as her when she was in Betsy's body, or was Betsy in her body? No, Betsy was in her body. I think that's how it went. Anyway, Bessie's there to fight her, and she's saying that she is the real Psylocke. But then Bessie disappears. Now she's further into the mansion, and it went from animals to now humans, Homo superiors, because again, these are mutants. And she comes across this baby that's in this jar, and it's just messing her up because the baby says mama, and she's like, this can't be happening. So she gathers herself, she puts down the jar, she looks at the security camera, and she tells Ty, no more games, come show yourself. And he goes, all right, not a problem, follow the butterflies. So she does, and then one of the butterflies starts to talk. So she busted out her cyber katana, and she cuts this thing in half. They start to swarm her, and they're still talking. So she starts using her kunai and starts taking them all out. But then Betsy shows up again. This time, she ain't disappearing. She's fighting. So they go back and forth. Betsy lands a blow, Kwannon lands a blow. And Betsy pretty much tells her, you might as well give it up, because I was just you for a very long time, so I know all your moves. You can never beat me. And then Kwannon takes her aside and proves her otherwise. But then she turns into all these butterflies, and Psylocke's like, what the hell? And then she's shot with 3 tranquilizers, and she falls down. And then Ty pretty much comes out and it's like, the butterflies emit this hypnotic dust that you've been breathing in the minute you step foot in my home. So this point we're at right now, we're just gonna get here sooner or later. But where are my manners? Let me introduce myself. My name is Ty Hannaber, the taxidermist. And now it's time to do what I do best, and that's to cut you open. My name is Doran, this is SCN Comics. We'll continue our covers of Psylocke. But number 5. Our story starts off in the taxidermist's mansion, where we see these butterflies flying around, and then we see Psylocke, and she has these huge needles sticking out of her arms and her hips. Like, that is brutal. And she wakes up to the taxidermist's voice because one of the butterflies has a speaker on it. And when she wakes up, that's when she sees the needles sticking in her arms and her hips. So to try to use her powers, and she can't. And then that's when the butterfly with speaker on it says, oh, you want to try to use your powers? Well, you can't, because I dipped the needles into something special to suppress your powers. And then she looks around and she sees that the room that she's in is fully dedicated to her. So then the dude finally comes out and it's like, Kwannon, your past is just as elusive as you are. Like, do you know how long and how hard I had to search to find all this stuff? But he's like, if my illness has taught me anything, it's to be patient. So then he starts to explain how he was born with this rare genetic disease. He has these painful growths that's all over his body. His body's also weakened from the disease, and he has a fragile immune system. Most people with this rare disease die within the first few months of life. But because his parents were rich, they pretty much had the doctors flood his body with all kinds of chemicals until he was healthy enough to survive and leave the hospital. And they instantly quarantined off a wing of their mansion where he never left. Never went outside. He just stayed in that wing. Because of his fragile immune system, going outside meant instant death. So Psylocke's like, hold on, genetic condition at birth? That means you're not a mutant. And he's like, no, I don't have an X gene, so technically I'm not a mutant. But my condition got me fascinated with mutations. So Psylocke, like I said, doesn't have her powers, and she's paralyzed to wherever he dipped those needles in. Slowly but surely, she's trying to move things. Right now, she's just trying to move her one finger. And also, too, she's trying to keep him talking to give her time to hopefully finally figure out a way to get out of there. He collects different species that are rare, but also, too, that show a mutation. He brings them in here and he preserves them forever. And he has a lot of species that are extinct. So he's like Marvel's Brainiac, but nobody's in the jar alive. They're in a glass case, but they're dead. Dead as a doornail. And just because he has her doesn't mean that all this is done and over with. No. See, he knows Psylocke's history, and he knows that she won't be complete until he brings in Bessie Braddock. He's like, the woman that wore your body like a glove for years. The first Psylocke. Once I have her, then this will be complete. So the Psylocke thinks back her time with the hand, and she's just like, you know what? I am tired of being manipulated. Like, I'm done. So I guess she got so pissed off that poison didn't mean a thing. All of a sudden her powers come just shining through, and she breaks through the needles, which had to hurt. And she's like, I am an X-Man. So all of his taxidermy creation starts to attack Psylocke. And I'm thinking to myself, like, you just had 2 needles in your hip. How are you flipping around doing anything? But she is. And she's taking all these things out. When I mean taking them out. She breaks the leg of a wolf, and then she takes that part and she puts it in the crocodile's mouth. And then she goes to one of the cases where he has some of her kunais, and she's like, oh, I appreciate it. Thank you. And combined with her powers, she starts using it, and it's just a taxidermy bloodbath. So quickly, this dude has no more allies, and he realizes that he is in some deep and Psylocke's like, don't worry. I am not going to kill you, because what will be the point? You want to learn anything? No. See, you've been in this home too long. Like, you haven't been able to experience anything. But I'm gonna fix that. And she takes her patented psychic knives and plunge it straight into this dude's head. And it's like, now you're going to experience all the emotions. When I mean all of them. Loneliness, terror, elation, heartbreak, hatred, fear, compassion, longing, fury, hope. So he's like, how do I deal with all these emotions that I've never felt? And so I was like, most people feel these feelings and they get around just fine. So figure it out. And she just leaves. So I'm not gonna lie, I'm like, this is the dude that wants to kidnap mutant children and pretty much taxidermy them, and you just give them some emotions and you leave? Like, I wasn't really feeling that, not gonna lie to you. So she gets back to the factory, and Beast is patching her up because she got holes in her hips, her arms. Like, truth be told, she probably shouldn't have been able to walk, let alone take all those things out, but comics. So Cyclops was like, Kwannon, you had one job, now it's to take it easy. And now somehow I feel like I need to force more vacation on you. And Kwannon's like, please don't. Like, just bring me back, Cyclops. Please. So Cyclops like, you know what? I'm not even going to fight you. Heal up, and then once you're healed, I'll let you know what the mission is. So then we cut to John Greycrow's cabin, where Psylocke walks in, and John Greycrow's like, those kids are great. A little bit enthusiastic, but they're great. And so I was like, I appreciate it, because you're the only person that I trusted to watch over those kids while I had to go take care of business with the taxidermist. So they kiss, and then John's like, look, we need to eat this rabbit stew before it gets cold. It's my secret recipe. And so I was like, secret? You probably got it from a cookbook. And John Greycrow's like, yeah, and it's the secret. So she goes to take off her coat, and then she walks by a mirror. All of a sudden, we see her, and it looks like Bessie Braddock, and they look horrible. And they're like conjoined twins. It looks really gruesome. And she kind of doesn't know what to make of it. And then John's like, are you okay? And then Kwannon's like, yeah, I'm fine. When really, she is not. Like, it kind of ended with a taxidermist like a wet fart. But whatever he did, he stirred up something in her. So hopefully this will be pretty good. My name is Doran. This is SEO Comics. We continue our coverage of Psylocke with number 6. Our story starts off in Minnesota, where you have Orpheus from the Upstart, and he is running for his life with good reason, because magic is on his ass. He spits out that crazy energy blast that comes from his mouth. She opens up a portal and is like, you should really be careful about where you send that stuff. And she opens up another portal and it's coming right back at him. He gets out of the way of it, starts to run, and is like, why are you chasing after me? Like, go after Trevor Fitzroy. He's the leader. Psylocke comes out of nowhere and kicks the bejesus out his ass and is like, because you're an upstart, you like to murder mutants and then live stream it online for clout. So he's like, no, listen. And then Magic comes out of nowhere, kicks the bejesus out of his ass again. And it's like, there's a lot of words coming from a guy named Orpheus. So they got this dude dead to rights. Like, he ain't going nowhere. But out of nowhere, Psylocke hears a song that she hasn't heard sing in a long time. And then she turns around, and it's her dead daughter that she gave up. She was a part of the hand. And she's walking over to her, and Psylocke's like, how's this even possible? But then, out of nowhere, she gets hit by Orpheus, whatever that stuff he spits out. He starts running away, and he calls Trevor Fitzroy on the phone like, I need a getaway. Portal opens up, he jumps into it, and then Trevor comes out of it, takes a picture, and was like, see you guys later. So right at that moment, Quentin decides to find out what happened. And they're like, no, he escaped. Sorry, Cyclops. So the Quentin's like, dude, we escaped again? Like, if you can't catch this dude, like, why are you guys even in the field? So the Magic's like, Psylocke, what happened back there? You froze up. And Psylocke's like, you didn't hear that song? Man's like, no. So Psylocke's like, it was my fault. I got distracted by a psychic echo. It's an impression left behind by a strong emotional energy of like death, trauma, etc. So Quentin kicks him and was like, that is so not a real thing. And even if it was, there's no way that you could see him and I couldn't. And Psylocke's like, calm down, Death Boy. We're in issue 14 of the X-Men. How many times have you died? She didn't really say that. But come on now. Quentin Quire's only good for two things. Humor and dying. That's about it. So they go back to the factory. Psylocke is sitting there in the cafeteria, and she's thinking to herself about her experience with the taxidermist, and she's like, it's those damn butterflies. Like, wherever they sprinkled on me, been messing me up ever since. So she ignores a call from Devin, and then Magic comes with a tray of cinnamon rolls. So Magic sits down, starts scarfing these things down, and is like, so what's up? Like, what's going on? And so it's like, I told you, psychic echoes. And Magic's like, okay, I'm not judging. Quentin might not believe you, but I'm not judging. Besides, his name is Kid Omega, not Kid Omnipotent. If he was, he wouldn't die so much. She didn't say that, that was me. So of course Psylocke laughs, and then Magic's like, look, point is that these psychic echoes, there's something. It could be illusion tech, it could be demons, not mine obviously, or it could even be ghosts. And she goes, if it's ghosts, I know a guy. So as he looks at Magic, she can see that crazy amalgamation of Bessie Braddock and herself as like ghosts or demons. She can see a zombie Cyclops, a zombie Kid Omega, which is on par. And Magic's just sitting there like, is there something on my face? And so Psylocke's like, yeah, you might want to get that. So he gets up, like, I gotta go. And Magic's like, but you need your cinnamon rolls. So I was like, you can have them. So Magic's like, you're lost. Like, she eats like Luffy. How the hell does she keep that figure? So Psylocke calls John Greycrow, who is currently in Montana robbing a bank. Like, he's literally shooting at the either security guards or cops. And he answers the phone in mid-shootout. And I was like, oh, you okay? Think of myself, you ain't. Especially when them bullets hit you. And then so I was like, I hate to call you at work, if you want to call it at work, but I want to see you. And John Greco was like, hey, let me wrap things up here and I'll be home and I'll cook you something to eat. Robbing a bank. So as she's sitting in the room, all of a sudden she gets grab all these hands, and that Psylocke / Bessie Braddock amalgamation comes to see her, grabs her phone and says, it's a date, and then smashes her phone. And then Psylocke gets up and she sees her phone's fine. Well, somewhat fine. There is a little crack in the screen. And then Psylocke's like, yeah, you know what? It might be Ghost. So she shows up to see Magic, and Magic's like, Ghost? Psylocke's like, yeah, it's probably Ghost. And Magic's like, thought you never asked. Opens up a portal, and they show up at Haven House, New Orleans. Oh boy, uncanny X-Men time. We're getting it all in this issue. And she's like, there's my guy. Psylocke's like, are you serious? Like, Rogue is going to kill us. And if Rogue doesn't kill us, Cyclops definitely will. Her guy is Deathstream. So Deathstream, sitting on Tombstone, is doing his normal weird Deathstream stuff. Like, if you watch any of my Uncanny X-Men videos, then you know about Deathstream. talking about how he likes the cries of the dead and so on and so forth. So then he says how the dead used to sing him to sleep, and then he starts singing a song. And it's the same song that she used to sing her daughter, that when her daughter appeared as a ghost, was singing to her, and actually finished like the last lyric together. And then they start speaking in Japanese to each other, just alienating magic, which is kind of crazy. So Psylocke's like, I need your help. I need to know if I'm being haunted. And Deathstream's looking at her, and you can see all these different souls over, because, you know, Cyclops killed a lot of people back in the day. And Deathstream's like, it's nothing unusual. But then all of a sudden, this crazy org starts going around there, and he's like, no, there is something else that's there. Give me your hand so I can take a deeper look. And then Psylocke reaches out. All of a sudden, somebody yells, Psylocke! And Rogue is on her way. So that ass whooping is coming with extreme prejudice. So of course Rogue's like, what you doing here? Did Cyclops send you? Like, what's going on? And Psylocke's like, no, Cyclops doesn't even know. And she's like, okay, exactly why does he even know? And then Psylocke's like, look, I need Deathstream's help. And they grab hands, and Deathstream just starts saying, I see you. I see you. And all of a sudden he turns into like this demon-like creature. And he goes, give it to me, Kwannon. Your heart, your soul, your everything. I will eat them whole. I don't know what they're about to fight. All I know is it's got magic, Psylocke, and Rogue. Whew. Sign me up. My name is Dorian. This is SEN Comics. We continue our coverage of Psylocke. But number 7. Our story starts off in New Orleans, the war with the uncanny X-Men. Well, a few of them anyway. Psylocke thinks that she's being hunted by ghosts, so Magic comes up with the great idea to go see Deathstream in New Orleans since he's all about ghosts. Well, once they get there, Deathstream tries to help Psylocke, but is now possessed by whatever ghost is hunting Psylocke. And Rogue, who's already mad at the Alaskan mutants, mostly Cyclops, is now pissed off to the highest level of festivity. So she's like, what the hell's going on, Psylocke? And Psylocke's like, I don't know, I just touched his hand. Then all of a sudden this happened. And Rogue's like, just touch his hand, huh? Well, whatever this is now our problem now. So I need you to help me get my outlier back. So Psylocke walks up to Deathstream and whatever the hell's possessing him. And is like, let the boy go. I don't want to hurt you. All of a sudden, whatever's in Deathstream goes, liar, you love to hurt people. That's what you do. My apologies to the Japanese community, because I'm about to butcher these names. And for somebody who loves anime like me and been watching it for over 30 years, you would think I'd be somewhat good at it. But I'm not. So this thing goes to Psylocke and is like, Masato, the lover you killed. Himiko, the daughter you abandoned. Mizuki, the friend who trusted you. No matter how much you try to forget, the dead remembers. So Psylocke has to dodge an attack by it, and she goes, oh, it feels so cold. Like, I'm freezing inside now. So the Rogue's like, you know what? Tired of this. And she goes, whatever beef you got with Psylocke, that's fine. But you need to get out of my kid's body. And she punches the Jesus out of Deathstream. And as he is flying backwards, whatever is possessing Deathstream is like, no, I'm keeping him. The little one doesn't belong with the living. It belongs with the dead so we can keep him safe. So then Psylocke's like, no, he belongs here with his team and his family. And the thing goes, yet you delivered him to my hands. And then Rogue just has a Sam Wilson moment. And she's like,
he's out of line, but he's right.
So Psylocke, we're going to have a talk about this later. So then Psylocke thinks to herself, like, where the hell is Magic? And out of nowhere, our Russian blonde psychopath comes out of one of her portals with her soul sword. And I'm just like, oh my God. She about to cut his head off. But it gets out the way, thank God. And she's like, it's time to have an exorcism. The whole thing to myself is, that's not how you do an exorcism. No, not that way. So the Rogue's like, we need to get whatever's in Deathstream out, but I don't want to hurt him. Like, come on now. You just punched his ass in the middle of next week just 2 pages ago. So the Psylocke's like, I never did an exorcism. But then she thinks to herself, and she's like, wait a minute. Maybe I have. So now we take a trip to Kyoto, a long time ago back in the past, where we have Kwannon walking with her friend Mizuki. They're in the woods, it's snowing, it's really cold, and they're on a mission to kill a target that they've been tracking for hours, and Mizuki's hands are starting to get to the point to where she can't feel her fingers. So Kwannon takes off her gloves and says, "Why don't you just layer up?" She's worried because the master will see that as a sign of weakness, and Kwannon's like, "Look, don't worry about it. We'll switch before we get with him again." But then they wander across this graveyard that's really old, and they walk up and there's a yokai in there. Yokai is like a Japanese for ghost. And Mizuki is used to, I guess, dealing with him, and Kwannon's like, "No, that thing stinks." She doesn't want nothing to do with him. Well, come to find out, the yokai tells Mizuki that this is the graveyard where the hand dump all of the, I guess, people that don't make it in the Assassin's Academy. So then we cut to the present time back in Alaska to John Greycrow's cabin where Devin is visiting him, and he's like cold as hell. And John Greycrow's like, because it's Alaska. So Devin's like, "Don't you have any electricity?" And he goes, "Nope, just a stove. Electricity is expensive." And Devin's like, "You rob banks." But then he's like, "You know what? That's besides the point. All these things that I use to track Psylocke have been offline, and right now I don't know where she's at." So John explains how when he talked to her last on the phone, she was at the factory, but then the call just abruptly ended and he hasn't heard from her since. So then Devin explains how Kwannon rescued him from A.I.M. That at first he thought that she was there to kill him, but then she was like, "No, I'm here to help you." And she takes out all of the A.I.M. agents that were there. And then from that moment forward, he was like, "I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that I'm there for her," because that was a really bad situation. So then John's like, "Yeah, she has that effect on people." So now they're sitting there and they're trying to figure out a way that they can help Psylocke, because they know that ever since she went up against the taxidermist, even though she won that battle, something's been wrong with her. They don't know what, but they also don't want to have her deal with this by herself. So then we cut back to New Orleans, and Magic's blocking stuff with a sword, talking about this kid just keeps sprouting tentacles. So then Psylocke's like, "I might be able to use my side blades to maybe rip out whatever's inside Deathstream, but I'm gonna need to open it." So Rogue and Magic's like, "No problem, just give us a second." So they do their thing, and they're like, "Psylocke, now." She's about to move in when all of a sudden the thing, the two-headed monster that's been haunting her, actually grabs her by the ankles and throws her down. So the Magic's like, "What the hell is that?" And then whatever's possessing Deathstream's like, "Get off, Hellspawn," and his magic. Psylocke's like, "You can see it, right?" And Rogue's like, "Yeah, we can see wherever the hell that thing is. What is it?" And Psylocke's like, "I'll tell you after I figure out how not to get beat up by it." Man, she is getting pummeled. So finally, Psylocke just gets enough of it, and she starts putting on whatever this monster is. I mean, just putting it on her. And then she calls out the Rogue, and she's like, "Come on, Rogue, grab my hand." Rogue comes over, grabs her hand. She gives Rogue her power so that Rogue can do what she was about to do to whatever monster is possessing Deathstream. And then Psylocke's like, "I'll do it with whatever this thing is." So then the two-headed monster thing is like, "You just gave away your power. How the hell are you going to fight us now?" And Psylocke's like, "Yeah, okay, I gave away my power, but I've been a ninja just about all my life, and this is all I need right here." So Psylocke stabs whatever this two-headed monster thing is, and Rogue punches the bejesus out of Deathstream, and whatever that thing was haunting him goes flying out. So now Rogue catches Deathstream. The two-headed monster thing is pulling out Psylocke's blade from wherever she stabbed him in. It looks like the chest, but I mean, and there's two chests, right? And she grabs Psylocke's arm, and then Psylocke just all of a sudden realizes that this is Mizuki. See, Psylocke made it to the hand training, but Mizuki didn't. And Psylocke promised her that she would come back for her someday. She never did. She tries to stab her in the head, but Mizuki just disappears around her sword. So now we cut back to Alaska, where Psylocke is visiting John Greycrow. He's like, "Is everything all right?" She's like, "No, everything's fine. I gotta go deal with something. I got a mission I go on, but I'll be back soon." And John Greycrow's like, "Yeah, no problem. Like, I understand. Just make sure you let me know what's going on." Psylocke leaves, and John Greycrow's like, "She's lying to me. I know she's lying to me." And then the mark on her arm that Mizuki left Devin can see it with his cameras. So now we cut back to Kyoto, Japan. So if we're not in the past, we're in the present. Psylocke's back in the woods, back in the cold, to I guess deal with whatever this Mizuki problem is. But the Mizuki problem is already with her. My name is Doran. This is SEO Comics. We continue our covers of Psylocke. Number 8. Our story starts off in Alaska and John Greycoat's cabin, where John is like, "You're not going." And Devin's like, "I'm going. I'm ready. I got you to protect me, and I got a taser." And John's like, "Dude, first off, you have no field experience, and a taser's not going to help you with a trained hand ninja, or God forbid, Shinobi Shaw." So then Devin's like, "He won't hurt me. I'm too cute." And Greycoat's like, "That's never stopped him before." So then he explains how he has dirt on Shinobi Shaw that he donates to about 12 different orphanages with nobody really knowing about it. And he has murdered many people to make sure that that secret stays a secret. I know about it, and I told him that upon my death, if he ever decided to kill me about it, that it would go out to about 12 different news outlets. It would kill his bad boy image. He doesn't want that. So John's like, "All right, I get it. You can come. But hey, stay behind me. Let me do the talking." So then we cut to Kyoto, Japan, where Psylocke is back where she grew up at, in the bamboo forest, and it's snowing. Seems like it's always snowing. She explains how when they went on missions, they used to walk in each other's footsteps to cut down on the number of people that the enemy might think is on the way. But to achieve that, her master made them walk on glass. This is how old I am. As soon as I saw that, first thing that came to mind was Jean-Claude Van Damme's Kickboxer, when they had to dip their wraps in glue and then roll their hands in glass, and then that's how they fought. I don't know why it's first thing came to mind, but first thing came to mind. Now this ghost that's behind her, who's I guess supposed to be Mizuki, her friend, she doesn't want to turn around and look at her, even though she knows she's behind her. And then she thinks back to when they were kids and how the hand would use psychics. And if you had special abilities, then you train with Master Hayashi. Now the way that he did it is his training was so hard, you would either succeed because of your special abilities or you would perish in the process. Either scenario was fine with him. So one day, her and Mizuki had a hard training session. The winner will get a hot meal. The loser, you don't want to know what the loser got. They went at it. Went at it hard. And in the end, Mizuki won, which she was rewarded with a hot meal, while Kwannon got a punishment. Now, they didn't really say what that punishment was, but if their training consists on them walking on glass, then I can just imagine it was probably worse. So they meet up afterwards, and Mizuki is using a yokai cat to talk to Kwannon, because her ability is to speak to yokai, which are supernatural spirits or entities. I guess you could just call them ghosts. And she brings Kwannon something to eat, and she's also asking Kwannon why she let her win. So Kwannon's like, "You won fair and square." And Mizuki is like, "Yeah, okay." So then we cut to where Master Hayashi sends them on a mission to go after a traitor who has double-crossed a hand and stole a soul-devouring sword. They're supposed to get it back, or they don't come back. So they go off to look for this dude. Mizuki uses the local yokai around her to try to locate him, and when they do, the sword has fully taken over, and this dude looks like a demon. He's literally eating the body parts off of these hand ninjas that he has dismembered. So then we come back to New York, where John Greycrow and Devin are there to speak to Shinobi Shaw. So they show the picture of Psylocke and the mark on her wrist, and they're like, "What is this?" So of course they do a little back and forth, and then Shinobi's like, "Do you know a dude named Matsuo?" And John Greycrow's like, "No, of course I don't." So then we come back to Psylocke in the present time, and she's visiting a gravesite, and Mizuki, or seemed like the ghost of Mizuki, shows up behind her and is pretty much telling her that she's a bad friend and she left her to die. So Psylocke is like, "Look, I can't face you until I make things right. I know where Hayashi's compound still is, and I'm gonna go up there and I'm gonna kill her. So we cut back to the past, and they're trying to come up with a game plan to try to attack this dude down who's pretty much a demon. And they see how fast he is because this one-hand ninja goes running, and this dude chases him down with no problems whatsoever and sticks a sword right through his back. So then they take this opportunity to attack. This dude shatters Psylocke's sword, and then Mizuki has like a kunai with chains, I think it is. I don't know. I might have watched too much Yu-Gi-Oh! Anyway, she wraps the chains around his leg, and he breaks it with no problem. So then they regroup, and Mizuki like, this dude is strong and fast. What the hell are we gonna do? And Psylocke busts out some kunai, and it was like, you heard the master. We take him down, we don't come back. So they attack again, and Mizuki is using the yokai to try to help in the fight, and this dude is taking them out too with the greatest of ease. So then we cut back to New York, and Kwannon seems like she was involved with a literally like Romeo and Juliet type of situation with a rival ninja clan. She was fighting this dude on a rooftop, a duel to the death. She slipped into the sea and supposedly to her death, but we all know she didn't die. 9 times out of 10, she slipped so that she wouldn't have to kill this dude. Anyway, this dude had the same mark on his wrist as Psylocke has on her wrist right now. So the devil's like, alright, so where do we find this dude at? And Shinobi's like, oh, you'll find his remains at the hand headquarters in Tokyo. And they're like, he's dead? And Shinobi's like, yeah, he had a run-in with Psylocke when Bessie was at the wheel, and yeah, she took him out. So then John Greycoat goes to Devin's like, alright, looks like we're going to Japan. So then we cut back into the past, and during this fight with this dude is when Psylocke's powers manifested, and she takes this dude out by stabbing 2 kunai into his eyes and frying his brain with her powers. So now that they defeated the dude and got the sword back, now they go back to Master Hayashi, which at the present time we see Psylocke on her way to go ahead and kill him. And when she gets there, she bumps into a girl, and it's Mizuki, who is alive and well. They hug, and Psylocke is so confused, which at this point, I'm very confused. Who the hell is the ghost? So she looks back to see the ghost, and they're gone. So the Mizuki is like, look, it's cold. Why don't we get inside so I can warm you up? They go inside the compound, they close the door, and there's a weird symbol on the door, which I'm thinking, that's the same symbol that's probably on the wrist. But I could be wrong. Now, Psylocke knows something's wrong here, but just like Jean Grey and she gets back her big sister, even though she knows this is an impossibility and something is definitely wrong, she's like not saying in denial, but she's going with it just because she wants this to last just a little bit longer. And Psylocke is the same way with Mizuki. My name is Doran, this is Deathstream Comics. We continue our coverage of Psylocke with number 9. Our story starts off in Kyoto, Japan, where Kwannon is with Mizuki, and she's wary of her, which she should be. So Mizuki's like, it's me, let me show you. And she cuts herself, and she goes, does ghosts bleed? And Psylocke walks over and goes, I've seen some ghosts bleed. So then Mizuki's like, is it really so strange for something nice to happen for once? And Psylocke's like, yes. So she goes, you know what? There's no winning with you. She walks over to a yokai. The yokai starts licking her blood. And then Kwannon's like, you know what? You must be Mizuki because she's the only one that would do that. So Psylocke's like, what happened? So I was trying to get back in there to help you. I saw blood coming from the door, but I couldn't get in. So then Mizuki explains how Master Hayashi pretty much beat her what he felt like was to death, but not quite. He dropped her off in the woods and just thought the elements would take her. But the yokai came and they saved her life by sharing their energy. And one bigger yokai was able to pick her up and carry her somewhere safe. The bigger yokai that carried her to shelter is the lady in white. She is perfect from the neck up. Her hair and her skin is white as the snow. But her body is frostbitten, severely frostbitten. But she was the main one that nursed her back to health. So then Kwannon apologizes that she wasn't there for her, and Mizuki's like, it's okay, really couldn't be helped. Then Mizuki says how she's been keeping an eye on her, how she's become an X-Men and a hero and everything else. Then Kwannon hears something on the steps, and she's like, what the hell is that? And Mizuki's like, oh, don't worry. That's just Master Hayashi. So then we cut to the Hand's headquarters in Tokyo, where we see 2 hand ninjas standing guard, and they get shot up. So Devon's like, damn, Grey Crow. And John's like, this is the Hand. You don't mess around with the Hand. So then John's like, all right, those were the first 2, but there's going to be a lot more inside. And then Devon's like, oh, lucky for you, I'm done mapping out the place. I took a page from the Taxonomist playbook, and he has these robotic rats everywhere that's mapped out the whole complex and, more importantly, the catacombs. So they know exactly where they need to go. So they start making their way through the complex with relative ease. They do run into one ninja, which Devon uses his stun gun. And John's like, I thought you set that thing to stun. And Devon's like, maybe he set it a little bit too high. Because this dude is now crispy. But they do make it to the tomb to the guy that they're looking for. So then we cut back to Kyoto. And Psylocke's like, Master Hayashi, you say he was dead. And she goes, did I? Psylocke's like, he's alive? And she's like, I didn't say that either. And the crawling corpse of Master Hayashi comes into the room. So Psylocke's instinct is still to protect Mizuki from him. So she's like, get behind me. And Mizuki goes forward and is like, I'm down, Psylocke. He's harmless. And she steps on his head and she goes, see? Nothing to worry about. So Mizuki explains once she was all healed up, she went ahead, she made herself a yokai mask. And then her and her yokai went and ambushed Master Hayashi. And right before he was about to die, they fed on his soul. So now he's this living dead corpse. So then Kwannon's just thinking to herself, this is not Mizuki. Like, this woman is a stranger because Mizuki would never do this to somebody. So then Mizuki's like, go ahead. Give him what he deserves, Psylocke. So then we cut back to Tokyo where Grey Crow and Devon are opening up the tomb. And Devon's like, didn't you ever want to be a paleontologist as a kid? As they look into the tomb. And then Grey Crow goes, you want to be one now? They look at the guy's hand because his skin's still there. So technically the mark is still there. So they use Devon's tablet to put under analysis and it looks a little bit different than Psylocke's. And then the computer tells them that, yeah, his is to make sure that spirits can't come in. Psylocke's is different and actually allows spirits to come in. So then we cut back to Kyoto. Psylocke refuses to kill the master. So Mizuki's like, look, you think I live here, but I don't live here. I was actually here to meet you because the lady in white is the one who led you here. So he's like, how many years did you lose to Bessie Braddock and to the legacy virus? You see all the hallucinations that you were seeing? That was her. That's her greatest weapon. She could take what's in your head and make it seem real. You see, taking over this branch of the hand was relatively easy. You see, the stronger my yokai get, the stronger I get because we share energy. Actually, the hand called me the yokai. So the Kwannon's like, I can't believe you still work for the hand. And then she's like, don't you remember when we were kids? Like, all we dreamt was freedom. That was never going to be enough. The only way to be truly free is to take over the hand. So then Kwannon's like, you're as bad as Master Hayashi. And then she gets pissed and like, don't ever say that to me. So she's like, we're going to Tokyo tonight to take over that branch. I want you with me, Kwannon. We can do this the easy way, or we can do this the hard way. How are we going to do this? Kwannon goes, no, I'm not with you. So then Mizuki goes, okay, take her. And that's what the lady in white does until we have white Kwannon. I'm not going to lie, she does look pretty dope. So then Mizuki is like, there you go. I miss you so much, as he gives her a hug. And she's like, Tokyo isn't ready for us. They never could be. My name is Dorian. This is SCM Comics. We are concluding our coverage of Psylocke. Number 10. Our story starts off in the bamboo forest where we have Kwannon and Mizuki and they're running through it. All of a sudden, Kwannon's by herself. Her nose starts to bleed. All of a sudden, there's blood all over her body. It's so much as pulled at her hand. She sees herself in the blood and she sees that she's a little kid again. And then she sees a lady in white. She sees Mizuki standing next to her and the lady in white is holding her baby. That's in her mind. But in reality, we see that the lady in white has control of Psylocke's body She's with Mizuki, who's controlling the rest of the yokai, and they're in Tokyo, ready to take control of the Tokyo branch of the hand. You see, Mizuki promised the yokai human souls, and the more they eat human souls, the stronger they get. The stronger they get, the stronger Mizuki gets. And the hand doesn't know what hits him, which is saying something, because this is the hand. I mean, throughout the Marvel universe, from Daredevil to Wolverine to all kinds of other superheroes, the hand is like Wu-Tang Clan. They ain't nothing to f with. But the lady in white is especially enjoying this, as she's just taking out ninjas left and right. She is like a very low-level version of the Spectre. Hate to use a DC reference, but she makes people pay for their sins. Hey, you're a hand ninja, you got plenty of those on your report card. But then we cut to the catacombs where Devin and Greycrow are at. They can hear the fighting going on upstairs, and Devin's like, hold on, let me use these rats and see what's going on. Once they see what's going on, they're like, there's no way we want to get involved in that. But then they see the lady in white, who's in Kwannon's body, and Greycrow's like, what the hell's going on? Why is her hair white? So then we come back to the bamboo forest in Psylocke's mind, and like I said, the lady in white makes you pay for your sins. Who has a whole bunch of sins? Kwannon herself. So she has ice coming out of her body too. So while Kwannon is dealing with that, the lady in white is just taking these hand ninjas down. I mean, it is just a beat down of epic proportion. And Mizuki is loving every minute of it. So then we cut back to outside. Devin and Greycrow make their way to the outside. The yokai are taking out the hand ninjas. Greycrow and Devin are fighting both the yokai and the hand ninjas as they're trying to make their way to get to Kwannon. But then we cut to Mizuki and Kwannon, who is possessed by the lady in white, and they make their way to some kind of shrine. They open up the door, and then they see the sword, the same sword that they had to get from that really strong yokai that they fought a few issues back. It's a soul-stealing sword, so there's a bunch of souls that's already in the sword. Mizuki wants it so that she can use it to feed her yokai to make them stronger, in return also make her stronger. So Greycrow and Devin show up. They're there to try to help out Psylocke. Mizuki goes to the woman in white and is like, now that my yokai is a lot stronger, let me show you how much stronger I've gotten. Greycrow starts busting shots at Mizuki, and she dodges every bullet, comes in and takes out his rifle, which is also a part of his arm. So then Psylocke, or the lady in white, goes to deal with Devin. When she walks up on him, she realizes that he's innocent. He hasn't committed any sins. So she's like, all right, no problem. No harm will come to you, child. But she encases him in ice, I guess to protect him. So Child Kwannon, that's in the bamboo forest, can see what's going on. And she's talking to the lady in white. And she's like, all right, you're helping Mizuki, but you do realize that there are some innocent people here that's a part of the hand. And that's the child soldiers, the ones that haven't been converted to killers yet. Mizuki's going to kill them too. So Kwannon offers a deal to the lady in white. She says, help me save those kids and you can have anything. My life, my death, anything. And lady in white goes, very well, the deal is struck. All of a sudden, all this power comes out of Psylocke. Mizuki and Greycrow just go flying. All of a sudden, Psylocke walks over. Her hair is half black, half white. She checks on Greycrow first, make sure he's okay. Then she walks over to Mizuki, and she's ready to handle business. She kisses her on the forehead. She says that she's sorry, and then she puts her forehead next to Mizuki's forehead. She tells her goodbye, and then this boost of energy comes out. All of the yokai that are around, that are killing the hand, all of a sudden get stabbed by all these ice stalagmites. I think that's what you call it when they go up instead of down. So anyway, I might have got it wrong. You can correct me in the comments. But the lady in white pretty much could have taken out Mizuki whenever she wanted to. Like, she was the real power when it comes to this, as you can see. So then the lady in white leaves Kwannon's body, and she goes, "I'll see you again, Kwannon. Until I collect my due, may your dreams ache with cold." And then she takes Mizuki, and Greycoat's like, "Where is she taking her?" And Psylocke's like, "The same place I was at, a frozen forest where she will pay for her sins." So Psylocke, Greycoat, and Devon gather up all the assassin children of the hand and take them back to the factory, where hopefully they can locate their families, or if not, at least they can stay at the factory and the X-Men will have to take care of them. I know Cyclops was like, "Man, what are you doing? Like, we ain't got enough issues to deal with." So we see Shinobi Shaw, we see Psylocke with Devon, we see Mizuki in the frozen forest. We also see John Greycrow. He's talking to Psylocke and he's like, "I like the new look. That is now half black, half white." And she goes, "Yeah, but white's not really my color." As we see, she dyes her hair all the way black again. And that's the end of the series. And like I always like to ask, did you love the series? Did you hate the series? Did you feel like it ended too soon? Or did you feel like that 10 was just enough? Please let me know in the comments. Me personally, I felt like it ended too soon. I could have gotten a lot more Kwannon, but hey, what can you do? They want to stop it at 10.